Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
And the crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dave Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. Snap, hold, kick.
Denver wins! Let's go!
They open! No!
What happened? Oh, shit.
America is football.
America is America. And if you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass for the moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my God.
No!
You loved it.
30-27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30-20.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the only football. That's it. We're just only football. I'm still getting used to that. Wow. Holy crap. The NFL trade deadline was not disappointing. Okay. We got a real shakeup in the league, and I love it because honestly, when the NFL does that thing at the end of every year after the Super Bowl, like around March, where new faces and new places, it's low key, like probably one of my favorite parts of covering the NFL. So the fact that we get to do this during the season is like the best of both worlds. I love it because we get to talk about these trades. We get to talk about what it means for both teams. I'm going to give you my opinions on it. I think that these trades revealed a lot. If you are paying attention, at least from what I can see, we got little E. I'm a bit surprised Pitt got nobody. And we're going to talk about that too. What happened to the podcast part? Did I miss something? No, we just decided that we're not really a podcast. You know, podcast is like a lot of times they're audio only. We're a show, but we wouldn't say only football show. So we just say only football. I'll still say podcast. I don't really care. We're only football podcast. You know what I mean? Colts went all in, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So, what a day from the NFL! What a move by a lot of teams, and of course, let's just start with the obvious, right? The Colts. I mean, the Colts, they made a massive move today. And their move today by acquiring one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. This is a debate every single season. Is it Surtain? Is it Sauce Gardner? Like, we all know it's Surtain. He won Defensive Player of the Year. But the fact that Jets fans were so aggressively in that debate tells you just how good he is. Because there's only one corner in the NFL that even pretends to debate Surtain over this guy, and it was Sauce Gardner. The Jets traded the Colts 2 first-round picks, or rather, the Colts traded the Jets 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, and they included Adonai Mitchell. I never say his name right, but we all know who I'm talking about. Less than 4 months after making Sauce Gardner the highest paid corner in the NFL, the Jets have decided to move off of him. And now that you could read this a couple ways, right? One is like, okay, so this wasn't the plan from the jump. Obviously, the Jets wouldn't have done that if they were planning on moving off of him, I think, right? It didn't seem like there was a holdout going on or there was any reason to push the issue. But the Jets decided they were going to offer him a 4-year, $120 million deal at 25 years old. So I'm not really sure why they offered this contract, because in a lot of cases, even if you move off a player, you're still obligated to pay that salary. So it is interesting, and we're going to talk about the Jets because they've made a couple moves, and I do believe, it is my personal belief, that 4 months ago, when Sauce Gardner became the highest paid corner in the league, it was not the plan to move off of Sauce Gardner, okay? But the Jets traded him to the Colts for those 2 first-round picks and Adonai Mitchell as a part of the trade. The Jets later announced the deal. Gardner is the second player this season to be traded for multiple first-round picks, which we don't get this all the time, but we got 2 this year, with Micah Parsons earlier this year going to the Green Bay Packers. And now this is the second player in 6 years to be flipped for a pair of first-round picks. Jamal Adams to the Seahawks in 2020. How did that one work out? Not good. Gardner, 25, signed a 4-year, $120 million deal. Just in July, the deal included $60 million in new money guarantees and an average salary of $30.1 million per year through the 2030 season. And it made Gardner the top paid corner. Now, midway through his 4th season, the cash-rich Gardner will go from the league's worst team to the best in the blink of an eye. And that's why this is so exciting, because for a lot of these players, man, they're just kind of going through the motions. I'm not saying that they're not out there trying to compete, but it's a lot different when, like, in the press conference with Sean Payton today, they asked him at one of the questions that was asked to him is your -1 or 0 in quarters 1 through 3 in point differential, and your +30 in the 4th quarter. Does that help you sleep at night, knowing that your team, is +30 in the 4th, or does being 0 or -1 in quarters 1 through 3 keep you up at night? Which one is it? Basically, what do you focus on more? The fact that your team's like average in the 1st through 3rd, or that you're spectacular in the 4th? And Sean was like, no. What I think about, and I guess what keeps me going, is what we're playing for, right? Like what's in front of us. And that's the thing about the NFL. It's like, as soon as you get a big win, it's like, okay, we got the Raiders in 2 days. There's no time to really sit back and enjoy a win. And if you do, you end up getting, beat, like maybe how the Panthers beat Green Bay and Lambeau. I don't know. But the players themselves, like what keeps them going, like the fuel to their engine, is that they're playing for something. Now, imagine that would be really difficult for a team that was eliminated from the playoffs before November even got here. When you're a team that is at Halloween and you're not going to the playoffs, I mean, yeah, you're playing for money, and you're playing, like, that's when you have to separate the emotion from it, and you have to say, look, this is a job. I'm a paid athlete. It is my responsibility to show up here, training, practicing, the film room. I'm getting paid millions of dollars to put 100% effort in every single day, regardless of the outcome, right? You can't just be results driven. Sometimes you just have to be driven without the outcome. Sometimes I have to come out here and do YouTube videos and I have no viewers watching. It doesn't matter, because I have to do it if I want to. For me, it's because there's an end goal. But even if you had, 1 million followers or whatever, sometimes there's not going to be people awake, right? Sometimes you're not going to have a bunch of people applauding at your every video. you still have to do it. And I think for the players, it's like they get that side, right? That's a maturity thing. They're adults. But when you can add in the emotions that come with an opportunity to win a division that's been dominated by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs for the last 10 years, right? Now Denver has an opportunity to win the AFC West. When the carrot dangling in front of your nose is an opportunity to host a home playoff game. I'm getting chills just talking about it. Hosting a home playoff game in front of the fans that haven't even seen their team play in the playoffs for the last decade until last year against Buffalo, and that was in a road game. When you have these type of monumental moments that really are right around the corner, I mean, we control our own destiny. You think about it. We have the Raiders, then we have to play the Chiefs, then the Commanders and the Raiders. Even if we lose to the Chiefs, as long as we beat the Raiders twice and the Commanders, we're going to be a 10-3 football team by week 13. So they have the ability in just 1 month to put themselves in position to win the AFC West. I know it sounds crazy, but what about the teams that are eliminated from the play? Like, it is so night and day different for a team, for a player to get themselves motivated. It's more of just a business transaction than an emotional investment, because at the end of the day, 95% of the players, they love football and they've loved it their whole life. And if there's one thing I know about being on a team that has a cycle of losing, going to the podium saying, hey, we're going to get it fixed. And then next week it's the same shit. And you keep going to the podium. Like, it gets to the point where Justin Simmons was like, I'm not going to tell you we're going to fix it, because I feel like I say that every single week. And yet we're right here doing the same thing. Garrett Bowles was crying, going, I feel like I've been here for 8 years and all I've done is loss. That's the way he said it, loss. But they love football because you can see how much they care. And it just, like, honestly, it gets to a point where you're like, I don't even know if I love football anymore. I mean, I'm just sad all the time. It's a culture issue. I said it before, I'll say it again. The Jets, they have an issue with the culture now. I think Aaron Glenn is going to create a culture. That's going to take some time, man. There's years and decades of dysfunction tied to that organization. What's going on with Aaron Glenn is going to take a lot of time, and it's going to take a lot of draft picks. But when you're on these type of teams, think Sauce Gardner got here and there was all the hype, HBO, and the helicopters flying overhead with Aaron Rodgers. They didn't amount to anything, right? And then the year before that, well, that was the year Rodgers played 3 snaps and got hurt. Then last year, the defense wasn't good anymore. Their head coach is getting fired. It's just this revolving door of dysfunction. And Sauce Gardner, the youth, they are pure at heart. It didn't catch up to Sauce. He's too young. It's players that I've been on this team for 8 years and I haven't gone to the playoffs once. Those are the guys that it starts to catch up to. But Sauce Gardner just went to sleep with being on the worst team in the NFL that just got their first win a week ago, and woke up as a member of the Indianapolis Colts, who have the best record currently in the NFL, tied with the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts, or I'm sorry, with the New England Patriots. But the reason this is a big deal is for a couple things, right? We can talk about the Jets, and we can talk about what this means for the Colts. All right. No doubt the Colts is the more exciting one. So I want to talk about the Jets first. The Jets have come to an understanding, right, that they are not going to the Super Bowl this year. It's not happening. The Colts are on the opposite wavelength, right? But the Jets, they know, look, Sauce Gardner is a great athlete, okay? And if you guys go back and look at my video of Micah Parsons being traded, I actually broke the news before Micah Parsons was even announced that he was being traded. I told you exactly how much money was on the table, $47 million. There was people that asked me 2 weeks after how I knew the exact amount of money Micah Parsons was going to be paid. And I'm like, because Jerry Jones said it in a sit down with Stephen A. Smith. He actually broke the percentages down where he said, if he got tagged, this is how much we would pay him over the next 3 years if we tagged him 3 years in a row. And what I offered him was 60% more. So I did the math and figured it out. So would you pay a guy? And that's what the video I was trying to make was like, where Dallas is right now. Do you think it's smart to pay one player $147 million? Because we've seen Dallas with Micah Parsons for the last 3 years. Do they look like they're going to the Super Bowl? It's almost like the Cowboys already ran this experiment. The only difference is once you pay Micah Parsons all that money, then you don't have any money to pay other people. And it's like, all right, hopefully Micah can carry the defense by himself. But that's what they were asking him to do the previous 2 years. So we know that that doesn't work. And I thought it was smart for Jerry Jones to say, no, we're not there right now. But if we trade Micah Parsons, we get 2 first-round picks, right? We don't have to pay him all that money. So that's 3 to 4 players that you could add from free agency. And then they have their own draft picks. The Cowboys are going to have 4 first-round selections in the next 2 years. And if they invest all of those picks on the defense, it would be ridiculous. And people say, well, there's not going to be a Micah Parsons. Yep, there will be. There's a Micah Parsons every year. And I know people don't want to acknowledge this, and it drives me crazy. But whether you're talking about Jared Verse or Aiden Hutchinson or TJ Watt or Myles Garrett or Nick Bosa, every single year there's an elite Will Anderson Jr. Every year there's an elite pass rusher. The only reason people get caught up in Micah Parsons is because maybe he's a little more special than some of these other guys I just named, but it's not by much. And if you could say, hey, on this hand, you have Micah Parsons. On this side, you have Jared Verse, but we're going to give you 3 more first-round selections to put on the defensive side of the ball. The obvious decision would be that, right? It's the same thing with fantasy football. I just offered somebody Christian McCaffrey, who's the best running back in football, for Jahmyr Gibbs and Drake London, because I know I have a wide receiver problem. So if I get Drake London or Mara St. Brown, he's going to make up the difference at my receiver. I'm getting 10 points with my receiver. I'm going to get 20 to 25 with this guy. That's a 15-point difference. Am I going to get 15 more points from CMC to Jahmyr Gibbs? No, I'm probably going to get 5 to 10 more. This is the way the Cowboys looked at it, and they were really smart, and they rebuilt the right way. And the Jets, they knew, as good as Sauce Gardner is, we're not going to get to a Super Bowl just because we have an elite corner. It is really difficult to part ways with an elite corner because there's not many in the league. Usually you have to draft them. They're usually not available for trade. And Sean was just talking about that when, Patrick Surtain went down, and he said, luckily we've been, really good at drafting that position because there's not a tree where they're growing. It's kind of like the quarterback position. There's a lot of mid-tier corners. There's not a lot of Surtains and Sauce Gardners. And when a team gets one, it's almost like a franchise quarterback. You don't get rid of it. It's not quite there, but it's almost at that level. So it's kind of crazy that Sauce, at his age, after the deal, the timing, it's crazy that they got rid of him. But the Colts willing to pay 2 first-round picks, that's a lot to say, hey, we're not, Sauce is worth more than 2 first-round picks and a wide receiver. Is he? Is Sauce Gardner worth 2 first-round picks? Honestly, it depends. Obviously, it depends where those picks are. And this is why the Colts aren't that off. Because the Colts their offense has been incredible all year. And that's all we keep talking about is how good their offense is. But the one thing is when you score a bunch of points, you're going to put the opposing team in a position where they're going to be abandoning the run. Like if you look at rushing, let me look. Rushing offense, rushing attempts per game. Um, I think I was able to look it up by opponent. Defense, rushing defense, opponent rushing attempts per game. Look at this, okay? Opponent rushing attempts per game. So the Indianapolis Colts are second in the league with their opponents rushing the fewest amount of times. New England's number 1, and Mike Vrabel got that record where it's like 7 straight games holding the running back under 50 yards. So teams just have gotten to the point where they tried to do it just out of the, hey, we're going to stay balanced, but it's like going through the motions, and then eventually you're down 14 and you've had three and outs, and the pressure kind of sits on, and then all of a sudden you abandon the running game. The Colts, they don't have like a super elite run defense, but their offense scores so many points that the defenses or the opponents, they have to abandon the running game and start throwing the ball. And that's what the Colts, Indianapolis and New England have in common, is that they're scoring more points than their opponent, and their opponent all of a sudden has to go one-dimensional. Now, going one-dimensional is a great thing. It's a great thing because you can it makes it so much easier to predict what they're doing. You can get into, hey, we're just going to kind of sit back, and that's why you have to take these stats with a grain of sand, because the Indianapolis Colts are 26th in the NFL when it comes to passing yards allowed per game. So the Colts are going to score. We know that. And the opponent is going to abandon the running game, and they're going to be one-dimensional passing. And what this tells you, though, is that those teams are going to have success. They're going to have success passing the football, which is going to keep them in football games. Okay? The Colts otherwise don't really have a major weakness on the defensive side of the ball. But you look at games, I mean, the Titans have the worst offense ever. And they even scored 20 on the Colts. The Broncos, Bo Nix had 3 touchdown passes in the first half of that game. The Rams put up 27. The Cardinals put up 27. The Chargers put up 24. The Steelers put up 27. That was just on Sunday. And look how the tables turned. Aaron Rodgers only threw it 35 times. Daniel Jones threw it 50. But Aaron Rodgers, over 200 yards passing, a touchdown. Player statistically at the receiving position for the Steelers. You had Calvin Austin with 56 yards. Darnell Washington had 43. So not really like a 100-yarder or anything like that. But when the Colts are the 6th ranked defense in passing yards allowed, it does kind of create a window for teams to come back and play competitive games. I mean, they were 7-1 before Sunday, but when you look at the Colts games, like there's a lot of competitive football. I mean, you got the Cardinals 27-31, the Rams 20-27, the Broncos, the leverage penalty that allowed them to win that one. You got the Chargers game where they actually won that one by 14. That was a good win. They got the Falcons and the Chiefs coming up. And I think it was smart. I mean, they got the Seahawks December 14th and the 49ers, then the Jaguars sandwiched on both sides of those games, and then the Texans. And I think for the Colts, it was like, hey, what? Like, we came into this league, like, let's be real, all of us at the same time. Nobody thought that the Colts were going to be as good as they are. Okay, it is what it is. Like, no matter how bullish you were on Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen, nobody thought the Colts were going to be the best team in the NFL. And if you say you did, I don't believe you, because we have really good friends on this channel that are Colts fans, and they did not think that. I can guarantee you that. So it was time to reevaluate. Okay, it's November 4th. The trade deadline is coming around the corner. The Colts all get in the office together and they go, look, I think we need to make a move, man. I think that this team is in a window. What kind of window? Don't say it. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I think we are. You got the offense. We have the best running back in the NFL. You know what travels well? A running game. You know what wins in the postseason? A running game. You know who's got the best offensive line? The Colts in the league. Best offensive line. They got a quarterback play elite level. It's too soon to say an elite quarterback, so we'll take the safe route, the non-confrontational route, and say a quarterback playing at an elite level. We'll do that. And we have the best running back in the league. I mean, we got the best tight end, arguably, in the league. We got Alec Pierce and Josh Downs and Pittman. I mean, we have the offense to win a Super Bowl. And that's just a matter of fact. But our defense isn't Super Bowl caliber yet. And you look at it and you go, well, what do you guys need to be Super Bowl caliber? We need a really good corner, right? Jalen Jones is decent, but they needed somebody like Sauce Gardner, right? They have Jonathan Edwards. They needed a absolute just shut down corner. And look, Jalen Jones' performance on Sunday may have influenced the Colts trade deadline strategy, right? All the scrutiny and poor reviews of Sunday's game, they've been shown on social media. The Colts secondary had been crushed with injuries all year long, but this was the week we saw the return of Jalen Jones, who in 2023 was a 7th round pick. And look, it was anything but special, his return. He began to make an impact midway through his rookie season, but then the injuries started piling up that year. He was starting for the Colts and never really looked back. He finished with 44 tackles his rookie season. His sophomore season showed more growth. He finished with over 100 tackles and 2 interceptions, played in all 17 games. But then Jones has missed all of this season with a hamstring injury. And he made his return this week, and a return that was needed in so many ways. The Colts lost their competition in rookie Justin Wally during training camp. They brought in Mekhi Blackman to bring in depth, and now Mooney Ward is on IR until the Colts return from their bye. So this was an absolute desperate defense in the secondary. The return of Jones was not only needed, but impactful. He played 55 out of 62 defensive snaps. He finished with 4 tackles. His most impressive stat was keeping DK Metcalf at bay the entire game. Metcalf finished with only 2 catches for 6 yards on 4 targets. Now, there's been issues with Aaron Rodgers getting Metcalf volume targets. But still, that's impressive. Metcalf has had only 3 other games where he was held under 50 yards this season, but he did score a touchdown in each of those games, according to Next Gen Stats. In this game, he didn't. He held him just to 19 receiving yards. 2 of 5 targets were caught. So with Ward on IR, this team lacked that defensive outside corner that was a shutdown corner. And while most would say that Jones fell in the draft because of his speed, he made one of the fastest speedsters on the outside feel non-existent. The coaching staff gave him the number 1 defensive assignment after missing the entire season up to this point, and he delivered. And even with the loss to the Steelers, the Colts are still in first place in the AFC playoff race. They own the tiebreakers over New England and Denver. The NFL trade deadline, being today, and that the Colts were expected to be buyers and not sellers. And there's really only 2 teams that are buyers or sellers, right? And it's obvious. Your teams that are the Jets, 1-7, we're not going to the playoffs. We need to figure out how we can get as much value for our players in capital. If we got a player on the team that's worth multiple first-round picks, he has to go. I know it sucks, but it's a luxury, not a necessity. Having a Sauce Gardner type corner, look, the verdict is in. You're still 1-7, so it doesn't equal a bunch of wins. So let's figure out what does equal a bunch of wins, right? Let's get 2 more draft picks in the next 2 years, and let's move all these other pieces as well, and get rid of these contracts and see, hey, maybe we can get, I don't know, like 10 first and second round picks in the next 2 years. I mean, imagine what that would do to the team. And we need to rebuild the culture, which means we need to get rid of some of these people that were a part. It's not their fault that they were a part of the old way, but to really start a new culture, we need to tear it all down. Remember when Dan Campbell came in, Matthew Stafford had to go, and Jared Goff came in, and everyone thought Jared Goff was like kicked out of the Rams, and they felt bad. Like, oh my God, he got sent to Detroit. That was the perfect thing for the Lions because Matthew Stafford was a part of the losing Lions, not Jared Goff. Jared Goff just came from going to Super Bowls. So that guy comes in, and it's fresh blood. Look at this. All of these guys, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery. These guys all came over here, and all they know is winning. They won in college. If they bring in other players, they're winners. Everybody's a winner. There's nobody on that Lions team that's like, man, do you remember that one year with Stafford when, we only won 2 games? All these guys know is the first year where they actually only won 3 games, but then year 2, they won 9 games. And then year 3, they were in the NFC Championship game. So building a new culture, a lot of times it requires getting rid of all the people that can't help but see the Lions, the old Lions, when they look at the Lions, right? When Sean got the Broncos job, he put a car outside the practice facility with no rear view mirrors and said, we're not looking back. And that was kind of symbolic for we're only looking forward. 10 years of sucking, I don't care. We're going that way. And with the Jets, man, they just need to get as much picks and capital as they can and bring in a bunch of new people. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And that's exactly what Mike McDaniels needs to do. I mean, all those players, Vic Fangio left and said, I couldn't get the team to focus. Mike McDaniels sitting courtside at the Heat games with his players. They're having a good time. They're his buddy, his friend. But then it stops going well, and Mike McDaniel has to put the hammer down. And some of these guys can't accept that they already decided that they were going to be your buddy. Now you want to act like you're my, like a parent figure, an authority figure. Like, we were at the Heat game together. That's why Mike McDaniel needs to learn from what his mistakes were in year 1 and year 2. This is year 3. Nobody's laughing anymore in South Beach. Now going into year 4, he needs to get rid of everybody and bring in new and establish a culture that, he's going to learn from that mistake and not be their buddy and their friend. They can still be close, but it's got to look different. It's got to be different. He's got to bring in the fresh blood and the players that can adapt. He'll know who those players are because they never caused no problems to him. Maybe it's Jalen Waddle. Obviously, there was a lot of interest in Waddle by a bunch of teams, and the Dolphins wanted to keep him. So there's a couple teams that are trying to create a culture. And unfortunately, for some players, part of building a culture, it can mean getting rid of the bad apples in the room. And sometimes a bad apple isn't Terrell Owens or Chad Johnson, this guy's egotistical, Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. Sometimes a bad egg is just somebody that's been around this team too long as a loser. And I don't want somebody that's lost that much even around my guys. It's not your fault. You were a victim in this whole situation. But we don't want that here. And I think that's what is a little bit of what's going on with the Jets. Now, the Colts, this tells you that there's only 2 groups. We're not going to the Super Bowl. We're not even a playoff team. We need assets. And the other team is, we're not a Super Bowl team right now, but we're about 1 or 2 guys away from being a legitimate Super Bowl contender. This was the Rams in 2020 when they acquired Von Miller from the Broncos, 2021. That was the most shocking day of my life. I woke up and saw Von Miller trade to the Rams. Von Miller? What? That's like trading Michael Jordan from the Bulls. Like, there's certain guys that you can't trade. But Von Miller was on a contract year. We knew we weren't going to pay him at the end of that year. So Denver had one chance to get something instead of letting him go for free. And the Rams said, "Do you want a 3rd-round pick?" And look, somebody might say, like, the Rams got screwed. A 3rd-round pick for 1 year. The Rams won the Super Bowl. Is a 3rd-round pick worth the Super Bowl? I don't know. You tell me. I could show you the 3rd-round draft picks from 2023, and you guys would know 3 guys on that list. It's like, yes, of course, it's worth it. So for the Colts, they obviously feel that they're in that second group. We're a player or 2 away from going to the Super Bowl. And there's other teams like the Steelers and the Broncos and many others that were disappointed. There was many fans that were disappointed saying, "Man, I really thought Denver was going to bring in somebody." There were people that wanted Denver to bring in Rashid Shaheed from the Saints. I don't understand these people. We can't even use the weapons we have right now. Why would we bring more in? It's like I can't even wrap my head around that. It's like a guy's calling out of work. You know what I mean? Like 3 times a week. I lost my keys. My car's dead. Blah blah blah. It's always something. This guy can't. He cannot work 5 days in a row. He just can't do it. He's never done it. Just has to call out for something. And then he comes up to you Friday after work and says, "I need more hours." You're like, "What? How about you just show up, Monday through Friday and don't call out? There's your hours." I mean, look, we don't need another receiver. Troy Franklin is awesome. He's making a massive steps. He's only in his 2nd year. You guys, Pat Bryant is making crazy contested, amazing blocks downfield. Marvin Mims is like the shifty speedster. RJ Harvey he's got 5 touchdowns in the last 2 games. J.K. Dobbins running. He's 4th in the league in rushing. Cortland Sutton, he's the number 1 wide receiver on this team, and Evan Ingram still getting involved in this passing game. Like, where's the room for another guy to just imagine? Sean, he's like, we don't need another freaking weapon for the press conference guys to be like, are you going to get this guy involved? Like, I can only get so many guys involved. Like, get to a point where it's like, I can't get another guy involved. We don't run enough plays if we want to be a balanced running game. Like, we only throw the ball 22 times. That's 5 targets for Sutton, 5 targets for Evan Ingram, 5 targets for Franklin, Sutton, Ingram, Harvey, in the back. And I guess 5 targets, no, that would be 25 for Pat Bryant. Just right there, you're at 25 targets. You can't bring in more people. And like the same thing with Pittsburgh. It's like Pittsburgh didn't get a weapon or bring in another person. There's people saying, dude, that sucks. Let me tell you guys something. The 2 type of guys, the 2 type of teams that bring in somebody at the trade deadline, teams that are rebuilding and teams that are a couple pieces away. So if you're a team that's currently winning your division, or let's say tied for first in the conference, if you're 7-2, I'm talking to Broncos fans specifically at the 7-2, and you are disappointed, right? Your team didn't make a move. You know what that tells you? It should tell you this. The Denver Broncos didn't make a move today because they don't believe that they're a player or 2 away from winning the Super Bowl. They believe that they already have the players they need to win the Super Bowl. There is no guy out there that is worth us giving away a draft. Like, we're not in that situation. Like, we don't have a gaping weakness on this defense. Why would we go out of our way just to play? You know what I mean? It's like, I have everything I need, but it's Christmas time and they all have gifts. So I'm going to go to the dollar store and buy a bunch of stupid presents I'm going to throw away in a week just so I can go through the motions of unwrapping something. Sometimes you just have to be mature about it and say, hey, we don't need a player. I mean, that's a really fortunate place to be. How many teams can say that? Our defense and offense is loaded. We need to get better at using the guys we have. We don't need more shit. You know what I mean? So I do think that if Denver felt like, hey, we just can't win a Super Bowl without getting a little bit better at this one thing, they would have made the move for that one thing. Because that's what teams that are 7-2, that's what they do. They make those moves. That's why the Colts got Sauce, right? That's a big move. Like, hey, we have the best defense in the NFL. Don't need to make a move, right? We bring in Dre Greenlaw. He's just starting at linebacker. Hufanga, we brought him in. We already made our moves. We made him in free agency with Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, freaking RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant. Look at all those guys. They're all contributing to the team. Like, those are our guys. There is no weakness. Now, for Pittsburgh, is there a need for Pittsburgh? Sometimes. Sometimes there's a position group that's not playing at a high level, but the staff and the coaches believe that the guys that are going to get this team playing at a higher level, they're not outside of the building. They're inside of the building. That's the other thing you got to figure out. Like, are these guys, do they have the ability to grow and to get better, or have they peaked and it's not good enough? But the Jets, look, this move was hardly a secret. You look at their room, okay? They got Brandon Stevenson, who sucks, right? Brandon Stevenson's terrible. He never gets his head turned. He's always out of position. He can't locate the football because he's not turning his head. And he continued to get picked on every single week. Go back and watch the Steelers game. He got picked on that game by Aaron Rodgers. But outside of Brandon Stevenson, these are the Jets cornerbacks. You have Tony Adams, who is the free safety, but he plays a lot of coverage. He's kind of struggled as well. But on a positive note, they have Jarvis Brownlee Jr., who was a real physical corner, and he played at Louisville, and he's a nickelback guy. This is the attitude of the team. He'll come up, smack you in the face like you either got that or you don't. This is a very physical corner, and they think, hey, we got a good one. This guy was with the Tennessee Titans. All of the Titan fans are like, why the hell did we get rid of this guy? This was our best player on defense. And that's why I believe the Jets did not know they were going to part ways with Sauce when they paid him all that money. I don't believe that, because I believe they were saucing up this trade. And I think it's been going on since Brownlee got here. Brownlee Jr., I think we're just getting started. That's what he said. Okay. Darren Moogie, the third GM, Darren Moogie, traded for Jarvis Brownlee Jr. from Tennessee, which included a swap of late-round picks in 2026. Brownlee, 24 years old, a fifth-round pick, 146 overall for the Titans in 2024, has been nothing short of a revelation for the Jets. He dipped a toe into the Jets' defensive stew when he took 7 snaps in Week 5 against the Cowboys. He was injured and inactive in weeks 3 and 4, but over the last 3 games, Denver, Carolina, and Cincinnati, he's played 68% of the snaps in each of those games. And now with the bye week 9, before hosting Cleveland on November 9th, Brownlee is itching for more action, especially after the team's first victory. You want to keep playing, he said. You want to stack the days. That's good that we get a bye to rest our bodies, but I think we're just getting started. You got to understand, they just brought this guy in week 5. Then he's dealing with this injury. They slowly ease him back in. Now all of a sudden, this dude's flying around. He's playing 70% of the defensive snaps. The film, he's popping off the film, and the Jets are getting a win. And it's like, okay, that is exactly what we needed to see. And then Sauce Gardner's gone. So this is a 2-part thing. We're going to bring in Brownlee, right? Because once you get to week 5, it's like, we're not a playoff team. We haven't even won yet. We have a lot of work to do around here. We can't have the freaking Lamborghini outside the trailer park. I'm sorry. I know it's awesome to have him, but we got a lot of guys that we need on this team to start really competing. So we're going to trade Sauce Gardner, but I don't want to get caught with our pants down doing this. Our fans will never let it go if we are, ill prepared to let him walk out, and all of a sudden our passing defense looks like the Cowboys. I mean, they've been roasting Jerry Jones. Like, good thing Mike is not here. They didn't want to deal with a situation like that. So week 5, they realized they're going to get rid of Sauce. They're like, we got 4 weeks to get a trade partner and find somebody interested. And we also have 4 weeks to figure out, like, okay, is Brownlee good enough to where we think we can get by with him? Because remember, the Jets also drafted Florida State's cornerback in the 3rd round in 2025. There's a rookie out there. And look, I'm a Florida State fan. They do cornerbacks. Like, that is, Jalen Ramsey. There's great cornerbacks. Ronaldo Green. This is Azariah Thomas. There it is, Azariah. Azariah Thomas, number 23 for the Jets. And this dude, everybody's saying this dude is amazing. Like perfect body type, prototype, 6'1", 197. And so you bring in Brownlee, you have Azariah Thomas, and with one of those picks, right? Because now they have 4 first rounders in the next 2 years. Go ahead and tag the best corner in the draft. Pick them. That's exactly what look. Keep in mind, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn came from this way of thinking. Remember how people felt when Dan Campbell decided to not only trade TJ Hawkinson away, but to trade him to a divisional opponent, the Minnesota Vikings. And everyone thought that is the best tight end in the league, arguably top 3. And they just got rid of him like that. Did anybody say shit about that trade 1 year later when Sam Laporta was breaking records for rookie tight end production? No, absolutely not. That's how fast people move on. Like, if you're going to make a move like this, all you got to do is draft a really good replacement. Don't screw it up. And every year, there's unscrew-upable draft picks. Surtain was in Sauce Gardner, Devin Witherspoon, Stingley, the dude in Carolina. Every year there's corners that you can't screw up. So go ahead, get you one of those. Azariah Thomas is going to continue to develop. And you got Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Your secondary's fine right there. And then you get 3 more first-round picks. And you're not paying all that money to Sauce Gardner. So now you can afford to bring in some other guys. Like, this is the way I would have done it. If you drop me in the GM chair and said, you're the Jets general manager, fix the team. This is exactly my first step. No brainer. Moving Sauce Gardner for 2 first-round picks. And by the way, Adonai Mitchell, like that's not nothing either. So this is just a really great move for the Jets, and they might be upset about it, but it's a great move for the Jets as an organization. Also, Quentin Williams. It didn't stop. The Jets received Mozzie Smith. This is crazy. This was crazy because Mozzie Smith, if I'm not mistaken, was the first round draft pick. I believe that was last year or the year before. I think it was 2 years ago. Mozzie Smith. I recall him being picked at the very end almost. I think the Cowboys traded back. I think they traded back at the end of 2023. Mozzie Smith. First round 2023 draft pick. Yep, so 2 years ago. And he was drafted 26th overall. And look, that's awesome. That's awesome. The Jets were able to get another first rounder that's young, and Quinnen Williams is gone, but Quinnen Williams, he's great and all. He's 27 years old. That's the wrong age right now. Mozzie Smith is 24. Okay. That might not seem like much. It's a huge difference right now. We want the team to be young, hungry. In fact, the guy hasn't earned his first contract yet. All right. Get rid of these older guys that are already getting, $15 million a year that played at Alabama, and bring in guys, rookies. out of Michigan's from Grand Rapids, Michigan, always played for his hometown, still out there trying to earn big contract. Bring him over. Quinnen Williams, I think that he'll do great in Dallas. That's exactly what Dallas does. They pay for big name guys like that. But Mazi Smith, a 2026 second round pick, in a 2027 first round pick, and by bringing, like, the Jets getting Mazi Smith, that's 2 first rounders. That's 2 first round picks. So from 2025 to 2026 to 2027, right? They got Mazi Smith as a first rounder. They're going to have their own first rounder. They're going to have the Cowboys the next year. They're going to have theirs and the Cowboys. And so they're going to have 5 first round picks. Wait, no. I'm not done. They're going to have the Jets are going to have the Colts first rounder for the next 2 years. They're going to have theirs for the next 2 years. They're going to have the first rounder for 2027. So they're going to have 3 first round picks in 2 years, the Jets. And they're going to have a second round pick. So in the next 2 years, they're going to pick 7. Oh, well, they have their own second round picks, but let's just say their own second round pick is going to be 2 years. So the Jets now have 9 selections in the first 2 rounds in the next 2 years. Guys, I don't think you guys don't understand. Like, if the Jets hit on those draft picks, they're going to compete for a Super Bowl. That's how serious this is. I'm sorry, but 9 draft picks in the first round in the next 2 years, in the first and second round, like 5 of those are first round picks. I like, anybody that doesn't understand what the Jets are doing right now, they're like, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is exactly how a rebuild is done. I am so stoked for this team, and I don't even know why, but they are doing it the right way, and I feel like Aaron Glenn, man, he's going to have a real opportunity to do something special. And in a world where we're just used to the Jets doing the same old thing, it feels like for once somebody kind of shook up the free world and got the Jets out of a rut where Quinnen Williams is off the team and Sauce is off the team, and it's like, no, we tried it. It didn't work. Gross. It tastes like last year. It tastes like the year before. New blood, fresh blood, young blood. Come on. We're doing a new thing here. This is a revolution. This is what the Jets need. They need dramatic, right? They tried the micro changes. They tried safe. They've tried it all. Nothing's working. Get aggressive. Get rid of all of these players that haven't even gotten you to the playoffs. You don't owe them nothing. They haven't gotten you to the freaking playoffs. All right? You haven't even proved that you can win with those guys. And if you don't try something different and you expect different results, you're insane, right? That's what they say. So I think it's a great move. I think it's a great move for the New York Jets. And this is when I would like to remind everybody. And then I'm going to go through Q&A in the comments. Sorry, I wanted to make sure that I went and did this without reading comments so that I could clip it and post it as a separate video. Because when people click on a video like, oh, the Jets move, this guy, they click on it. They want that video to be about that subject. If I'm like over here laughing and talking, it's like, what is he doing? And then I got to go make all those cuts, and then it looks unnatural. So thank you guys for just letting me do the topic here. And next year, okay, 2026, okay, we know one thing. They need a quarterback, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks that I mean, there's 6 quarterbacks that could go in the first round. There will be probably 4 that do. All right, one of those is going to the Jets. And with the amount of capital they have, it could be anyone that they want. Really. There's a lot of edge talent in the 2026 draft. You got Reuben Bain Jr. Out of Miami, Peter Woods, Clemson. You got Keldrick, Falk, TJ Parker. So let's go to the corner because that's it, right? That's what we care about. Defensive back. Wow. Caleb Downs. Mark my words. What is this? November 4th. Caleb Downs is going to be a New York Jet. Watching Downs operate on film reminds me of a young Troy Polamalu with Ed Reed's processing speed. He simply sees things other people cannot. He is, no, typically even the best players' draft profile will be rated at 89. This guy has a 94 rating. Caleb Downs. Okay. So Caleb Downs, he's going to be a top 10 pick. All right. And then there's other guys like what is this position? Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee, Avion Terrell, corner out of Clemson, Mansour Delaney out of LSU, AJ Harris out of Penn State, Kamari Ramsey out of South Carolina. Let's see, these are still 86. Yeah, there's a lot of defensive back. Not a crazy amount, but yeah, like one of these is going to get tagged to the Jets. If they bring in Caleb Downs to pair with Jarvis Brownlee Jr. at the nickel, and then they have Azariah Thomas on the other side, and that's just their natural first round pick. Then they get to pick again. They have Breece Hall. Maybe they go linebacker, right? You don't typically get a linebacker, but maybe they go edge with their other pick, right? Maybe they do what the Texans did. They get the best edge rusher and they get the best quarterback. There's so much that they can do, but one thing is for sure. By the time the New York Jets play their first game next year, there's going to be optimism and excitement for the first time. I guess Aaron Rodgers thing, but like the Justin Fields thing, like no one believed in that. Aaron Rodgers actually going into his second year after the Achilles, no one was really believing. And then let's remove Aaron Rodgers the year before because he got hurt. Then you go into this long history of like Zach Wilson, and it's like, look, it's been a really long time since like Jets fans have been able to be optimistic with a young quarterback. Not like, we got it probably since Zach Wilson was drafted, right? In 2020, I want to say 2020. Let's see, 2021 was Trevor Lawrence. 2022, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, Sam Howell. Yeah, I think it was 2020. Let me see, 2021 quarterback. Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was a 91.4 rating. Rocketed up the draft boards after the last few weeks, projecting him as high as number 2 overall to the Jets. It's exactly where he went. Justin Fields was a 92.1 rating. Look at that. Those two guys are ass. and they were both 92, rated at a 92, right? But if you go to 2024, Bo Nix, the 6th ranked quarterback, lower than J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., Caleb Williams was a 93.5, same as Zach Wilson. Oh, God. These ratings are so funny. Nobody knows, man. You gotta just do a really good job when it comes to having a guy in the room that knows what he's looking for. Sean's whole thing about finding a quarterback is pulling all their negative plays and watching those, not their highlights, but their failures, and then seeing how often those failures occur. How many sacks are they taking? Because getting sacked is a quarterback stat, man. Like there's a reason Bo Nix was like sacked like 3 times in his senior season. And he just doesn't do it. He has the awareness. He runs out. He knows when he's got to get rid of the ball. He's got to get rid of the ball. He did. It's something that you either have or you don't, right? Some guys just don't have it. Russell Wilson doesn't have it. He's just like a second behind. And even his throws, like they're a second late. So he's like feeling the game a second behind. And you can tell when a quarterback's out there and he's experiencing the game like in not a second late. If anything, it's like the game's moving slow for him. He looks like he's early for everything. Knows exactly what's happening before the defense does it. Jordan Love, when he's in the zone, Jordan Love, like it doesn't matter what you throw at him, he goes and he has the answer immediately. All right, it is time to hit up these chats. We got Nick Crafty, or let me see. Colts went all in. I saw that, Crafty. I think it boiled down to the Steelers exposing their flaws. I love how they tossed Mitchell into the trade just to make him pay for dropping the ball versus the Rams. Is that a thing? Did they do that? They're like, yeah, get the hell out of here, dude. Yeah, Andy had that holding call that got Jonathan Taylor's 80-yard touchdown called back. I think the Jets now take a huge dip record-wise after today's move. How? They're already 1-7. We'll give you Sauce in exchange for 2 picks. Colts, okay. Here's 2 picks and Mitchell. Jets, but we didn't ask for Colts. Pleasure doing business with you. That is hilarious. That's probably exactly how that went down. Nick, what is up, brother? And Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. What's going on? It is now Wednesday where I live. That is awesome. Yeah, this one ran a little late, but great moves for the Jets. Great moves for the Colts. Colts are definitely a contender now. And then the ones we're going to be talking about tomorrow, which tomorrow's going to be great. I'm in the process of moving right now. And it's been crazy because I'm like trying to do it's like the worst week for the freaking worst week for the trade deadline to come to a halt because I'm like, God, I got so much moving that I'm doing. But anyway, we're going to be covering it. And the Seahawks tomorrow, we're going to talk about Rashid Shaheed going over to the Seahawks. We're going to talk about Jacoby Myers. Asked the Raiders to trade him. They declined. Now he goes to the Jaguars. Okay. We're going to talk about, let's see, I think those are the big ones. Also, the other one is, what is it? Seahawks. The Seahawks and the Jaguars. The Jaguars. Where did the Jaguars? They got, another big one too. Dre'Mont Jones went to the Ravens. I don't know. That's a big one. I don't know if you guys know, but the Ravens, like that's a really good move right there. And there's been a couple moves. I think it's the Eagles. One of the teams added like 3 pieces on defense. So we're gonna be talking about those tomorrow. But obviously the big one is Daniel Jones and his getting a legit quarterback weapon, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun seeing what the Colts can become. Um, and man, good for Sauce. Well deserved. And I know Breece Hall was posting stuff all day, like the guy like looking out the window, trying to see like, okay, like, am I getting traded? Am I staying here? And I think that's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like if you got a player like Breece Hall, I feel like you gotta like let that guy know what's going on. Like, he shouldn't be finding out he's been traded because it's on TV. Like, I just feel like that's like such a shitty way to operate. Like, you should give those guys the respect to at least reach out, and be like, hey man, I'm not saying we're going to trade you, but if somebody offers us 2 first-round picks for you, like, we're going to have to agree to that. But I just wanted to be transparent with you and let you know what's going on. So that obviously is not going on in a lot of organizations, but also like Aaron Glenn doesn't know Breece Hall like that. Like, he's just got there. So, but good stuff, man. Good stuff. Jets, Colts, both franchises, man. This is just like the Micah Parsons trade. I think both teams won. I don't have like a winner. I think the Jets should be considered a winner just because they are going to now pick between getting rid of Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. They're going to have 9 selections in the first and second round in the next 2 years. I like, yeah, they're doing it the right way. This is going to be, if they hit on these draft picks, look how the Lions turned their franchise around with Montgomery coming over as a free agent, drafting Jahmyr Gibbs, drafting freaking Sam Laporta, drafting Jamison Williams, drafting Amon-Ra St. Brown, drafting Aiden Hutchinson, drafting was it not Terrion Arnold, but Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry. Drafting their linebacker, what is it, Jack Campbell? Like, there you go. That's 9 players. You think those guys are the reason the Lions are good? Like, yeah. So, look, the Jets, and keep in mind, like, the Jets already have Breece Hall. They already have Garrett Wilson. They already have, like, they didn't get, so now 2 of those 9 picks, you don't need a Amon-Ra St. Brown. You don't need a Jahmyr Gibbs. You can keep drafting, offensive linemen or whatever else. Like, if the Jets hit on these picks, they are going to be a Super Bowl contender in the next 2 years. I mean, their first year, no. Their second year, no. But that I'm talking about that third year. Today, they made the type of moves where by the year 2028 season, the Jets could be considered like a dark horse Super Bowl favorite. That's what I'm saying. And the Jets have the longest playout drought in the NFL. So, like, I'm sure that sounds great. If you could just tell Jets fans, like, hey, I got good news. The first thing is you're going to get better every single year from here on out. Number 2, there's going to be legitimate Super Bowl conversations about the Jets in 2028. The next 2 years are going to be fun. Congrats. I feel like they would be like, holy crap. This all stemmed from getting rid of Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. And it's true. It did. So for that reason, I got the Jets as a winner. But also the Colts, man, you guys are a legit Super Bowl contender now. So all in all, both teams won. It is what it is. But all right, you guys, I'll see you tomorrow on the next episode of Only Football. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.